Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Players NIL Industry Insider Podcast. My guest today, Adam Vasallo. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Adam, welcome to the podcast.
Mark, thank you for having me. It's wonderful to spend time with you today.
Great. Well, CMO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters is a big title, and you're a big time guest, and we appreciate you coming on. But we also want to know a little bit about, not just your work, but you a little bit. And one question that I've learned over the years that makes the most sense is, when I'm trying to meet someone or understand some of their background is, Adam, where'd you graduate from high school? That will tell us a lot about your background.
That's right. I graduated from Gibbs High School in St. Petersburg, Florida.
So you're a Florida native and currently still live there, right? Okay. In our preamble, you mentioned that you played high school football. Tell us about your athletic career.
Mostly throughout, I played football growing up, throughout Little League into high school. I actually coach my son's flag football league now. And I coach his team. They're 9 years old. They're called the Fast Burgers. But I played throughout my high school career. Ended up mostly being marred by injury, but I played on the lines. So I played on offensive line and defensive line, defensive end. And was very proud to represent Gibbs High School, home with the Gladiators.
Yeah, the Gladiators. I love it. I love it. Tell me a little bit about, not your on-field experience, but your off-field experience. What is it? What were the life skills? What were the lessons learned? What were the challenges? You said you were hurt. Maybe that was a big obstacle for you. What did sports do for you at that time in your life?
Yeah, no, sports, I think, as an athlete, competition, I think, drives us, competition, both not just with our opponents, but with ourselves, to strive to be better. And, when I think of the mission that I get to live and support every day, we look to our mentors. And sometimes those are our peers, those are our teammates, those are also coaches. Sometimes it could be your opponent in some ways. Relationships, as I talk about every day, are critically important. And, we need to continue to make those connections. We need to look for the value in criticism, in glory, in wins, and victories, in defeats. They're all learning experiences. And when you can do it as a team with, again, peers, with coaches, with your mentors around you, the victories far outweigh the defeats.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, obviously, I'm a big proponent of athletics as a great vehicle for life. We have two principles at our company, Adam. And the first one is, how do you use athletics to better your life, right? Mm-hmm. And those of us that participated at some level, we got those life skills that you mentioned, those experiences. And it wasn't just about winning, it was about learning how to lose too, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, even your boy Tom Brady had to retire at some time. You're a Tampa Bay guy, I'm guessing.
That's right.
The second principle of our business is, how do you use athletics to better the lives of the people around you? How do you make a difference? And that brings us to your current role as CMO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Really simple first question. What is Big Brothers and Big Sisters?
Certainly. Big Brothers Big Sisters of America is the largest, most experienced youth mentoring organization in America. Big Brothers Big Sisters was founded in 1904 in New York City, when the clerk of court named Ernest Coulter saw too many kids coming through the youth court. And he said, there's got to be a better way. And he got together a group of friends and said, each one of us is going to walk alongside a young person, identify a young person in the community that we can support, that we can empower, that we can uplift. And the Big Brothers Big Sisters mission was founded 120 years ago this year, as an innovative alternative to the juvenile justice system. And from that activity in New York City, spread like a ripple effect across the country. And today we have 230 local Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies across the country. Collectively, they serve more than 5,000 communities, operating in all 50 states. I think for me, personally, and even just going back to our sports conversation, what is Big Brothers Big Sisters? What is mentorship? I ended up in this role ultimately because I started as a volunteer, as a big brother myself, many years ago. I was matched with my little brother Adrian when he was in the 6th grade, and we were matched until he graduated from high school. What makes this mission so special is that the word mentorship sounds really heavy, but you can see from the visuals behind me, it's really about getting together over a book, playing soccer, playing football, playing a sport, maybe playing chess. For Adrian and I, and this is a bit of the magic of Big Brothers Big Sisters, because hopefully many of you will go become a volunteer, sign up or inquire at a Big Brothers Big Sisters. And when you do, you'll be interviewed to see what you, the adult, could be matched with a young person, which we call a little program. And the importance of the interview is to identify what are the activities, like what could you have in common with a young person. And for Adrian and all those years ago, it was a passion for football. And Adrian and I were matched. He went on to be a high school football star. He actually went on to be a college football player. And it was that simple connection around football that really helped two individuals who may not have met each other for any other reason in life to have this now lifelong connection. He actually referees in my son's flag football league today. He has two daughters of his own. And so we have this bond that will last forever, this friendship that will last forever. And at Big Brothers Big Sisters, the story of Adrian and I is not unique. We have 20 million alumni across the country who have been part of this mission. Again, founded in 1904, because a clerk of court in the youth court thought that there was a better way for young people to reach their full potential.
Great story. My mind is racing because I am told so many times in current times about how in the old days it was different and it's more difficult today. I'm thinking 120 years ago, there were kids in trouble. Some things never change, right?
120 years ago, there were young people living in or near poverty. There were widening education gaps. There were mental health struggles for young people. That was 1904. These are still topics relevant to this day. And when I get to talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters, I get excited. I light up with the opportunity because all these years later, this mission is still a societal solution to the challenges, and I'll say the barriers that young people face.
You stole my thunder a little bit because I was going to ask you what the word mentor meant to you, because it's a word that gets thrown around a lot. Everyone's a mentor. I need a mentor. He's my mentor. I thank him. He was a mentor when I was young. But in the Big Brothers Big Sisters, tell me what a mentor, you shared a little bit, but tell me what a mentor really means and what does he or she really do?
Yeah. At its here at Big Brothers Big Sisters, it's a few hours a month. And you can see it takes little to be big, the words behind me, which is our national campaign, which we created out of an immense amount of research done, because nationwide there's a decline. Many years across the nonprofit industry, there's a decline in volunteerism, and we need volunteers to become these caring, positive adult mentors to young people. And so we set out to do a ton of research, not just with our prospective volunteers, but also with alumni and current volunteers, our bigs. And what we discovered was that the word mentorship is heavy, and that there are two things that really stand in the way as a barrier for anybody that's considering becoming involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters. The first is what we call the barrier of time. Is that I'm really busy. I have a wife, I have kids, I have things to do on the weekends, I have a job, I have to travel. And so many prospects think, oh, it's going to take too much time, I can't be a mentor. And then the second barrier that we identified was just the burden of mentorship, the burden of the work. That, wow, it's a heavy word. I had mentors in my life. I held them up on a pedestal. To be a mentor means I have to be perfect. To be a mentor means I have to be a superhero. I have to have superpowers. I have to be educated for it. And these two barriers couldn't be further from the truth. One is it takes a couple hours a month, just grabbing a cup of coffee, just getting together and having a slice of pizza can make an incredible impact on the life of a young person. And then when it comes to that burden of mentorship, you are life qualified. I'm speaking to the audience. You are life qualified to be a volunteer, to be a mentor. It's your lived experiences. To be the best mentor in our program is just about being present and persistent. And those are the only two qualities required.
How do you identify these mentors? You know, how do you
Certainly.
recruit them?
Yeah, we need mentors of all age. We need all kinds of mentors for all kinds of kids. When we're looking at volunteers, we look at our waiting list. We currently have a waiting list of about 30,000 youth across the country who are waiting to be matched with a mentor. Now, our 230 local Big Brothers Big Sisters across the country do incredible work. So that waiting list of 30,000 youth will be matched. Those youth will be matched. They'll move off of the list. But it's about how long does a young person wait? And what we've identified is that young people, specifically boys and boys of color, will wait longer than other youth on their waiting list. And you'll ask the question, why? Why does that happen? And what we know is that representation is incredibly important. When a parent or guardian comes to Big Brothers Big Sisters and they tell us what support they're looking for a young person, they say, I want a young person that my child can identify. And so as a mission, as an organization, where we focus our efforts, especially around volunteer outreach, is how can we inspire more men of color to become a volunteer? I myself, I'm a proud Cuban American, and I look back at my experience as a volunteer, as a first generation American. My father coming over as an immigrant, but I was able today as an adult to be a mentor, not just once, but twice with this organization. And I think it's that spirit and that excitement that we have to continue to create the welcoming, safe spaces that we do for men of color like myself across the country to join the mission. And that's a big reason for our It Takes Little to Be Big campaign, so that we can break down those barriers that exist, that we make up in our heads, that we can all make a really positive an exciting impact for young people across the country.
I've done, you know, a fair amount of volunteering in my life. I wouldn't call myself at the top of the food chain, but I often have found that I get as much out of it as my mentees, right? And I think it's very powerful. You know, we preach community service and philanthropy. It's one of the 5 pillars of the Players NIL. We believe it's a great way to connect with your audience, to build a brand, which we're talking about personal brand development. It's also the right thing to do, to pay it forward. And one of the examples I use is a guy that's going to get ready to start a football game this weekend for the Buffalo Bills named Damar Hamlin. You may have heard the story. You may have watched television when he literally died on the football field. And he was brought back to life by amazing medical people. And during that period of time, it came out that he was raising $2,500 for a Toys for Tot type campaign in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that grew to over $10 million. It did because he was relatable, right? It became something that people could get behind. They supported him. It's shared. My question to you is there a social media component to what you do today? Are the mentors talking about this? Do you empower the kids as an army to talk about their experience? How does modern marketing, you're the CMO, how do you use social media to help your cause?
Mark, it's a wonderful question. I'm just going to go back to what you stated, that when you've been involved as a mentor, you felt like you've gotten more from the experience. In that research that we did for our national campaign, we found that about 70% of the volunteers, the adults in our program, said they feel like they got more from their experience with Big Brothers Big Sisters than their littles did. So you are affirming a national stat that we see. You know, influential voices are incredibly important, and the key for amplifying these influential voices are all of the digital channels that we have at our disposal and our social media channels. So it's absolutely a key part of our strategy. I'll shift, you know, speaking of the Buffalo Bills and using Damar Hamlin as an example, I'll shift to the other side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, where also taking the field this weekend will be rookie Buffalo Bills running back Ray Davis, graduate of the University of Kentucky, but also an alumni of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. Ray is an alumni little brother. And just in these past few months, as he became a professional NFL running back, we have been really inspired by Ray's engagement with our organization. You know, he's taken the stage at Essence Fest in New Orleans alongside our Chief Impact Officer to talk about the importance and the advocacy for mentorship and support of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And we have some really exciting things planned with them in the Buffalo community. Ray is just one of these voices that plays an important role in breaking down the barriers to mentorship, reinforcing that it doesn't take a lot to be a mentor, but then also activating their communities, you know, across the country. College athletes, NFL players, they are change leaders, they are thought leaders, they're innovators, they're influencers. And for a brand like Big Brothers Big Sisters, for a mission like Big Brothers Big Sisters, we see the incredible importance of lifting up these voices. One of the largest national volunteer recruitment campaign we do is a program called the Big Draft. And the Big Draft is in partnership with the NFL Inspire Change Initiative, which is the NFL's social justice initiative. We've been longtime partners since about 2018. And each year between the Super Bowl and the NFL draft is about a 60-day window. And in those 60 days, we run our biggest volunteer recruitment campaign. The Big Draft, our goal each year is to set a new number. 2 years ago, our goal was to recruit 6,000 men in 60 days. These are just getting volunteers to sign up for our program. We shattered the 6,000 the next year. This past year, we increased it to 10,000. We wanted to recruit 10,000 volunteers in a 60-day period. We blew past that. We recruited 14,000 signups to our mission. And you'll say, you know, what was the success, right? Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies activating the Big Draft across the country, our national office activating. But the key is that each year that we run this program, we have an incredible group of NFL legends and NFL players who serve as ambassadors. And they record their personal mentorship story. They share their experience. They talk about how easy it is to make an impact. And then they amplify it across their channels. This has included Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back Rashad White, an alumni of Big Brothers Big Sisters as well. Defensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys, Osei Odigizua, again, an alumni little brother from the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. And we've just continued to see the program grow each year. So in spring of 2025, we're going to run the Big Draft campaign again. We're going to set an even higher goal, and I'm confident we'll continue to exceed it. And it's because of those influential and powerful voices that NFL players, legends, and athletes provide.
Yeah, I think it's great, and you know, the power of social media. You know, there are pitfalls. I'm not going to say that there aren't, but from a marketing standpoint, there's a lot of upside. And we use a concept here called force multiplying. And my analogy is, if you were to go outside and find a body of water, take a rock in your hand, drop it into the water, the rock goes through the surface of the water, and quickly the surface closes up and you don't see the rock anymore, it goes to the bottom. But what's left are these ripple effects, right? This force multiplying effect. And social media allows you, through hashtags and mentions and connections and engagement, to amplify that story. And do you use any of that leadership? And do you have any of that mentality when you're talking to your mentees, to these young boys? Is there a social media education component to what you do, or how do you prepare them for the challenges of being a kid on social media today?
Yeah, we've you know, as an organization, we've been really focused. We have something called the Learning Exchange, and that's to train up not just the volunteers in our program, but we make the resources available. These are, you know, video trainings, video online trainings, but also to our volunteers and our bigs, and also the families in our program, so that we can pass these on, that we can, you know, train a volunteer. If you were like me, I'm a volunteer big. I show up at 20-something years old as a recent college grad, and I become a volunteer. And it's, you know, it's the intentional investment in making sure that our volunteers have the training resources available. Each big also has a match support specialist, which is a trained professional at a local Big Brothers Big Sisters to help you navigate and prepare. So we have a lot of different resources in place to make sure that we are equipping our bigs to be the best mentors that they can be.
I knew you did. That's why I teed up the question.
Well, and I'll go, you know, because you asked about social media, like even social media as a channel, and you know, I think it's all part of like it's definitely part of a bigger strategy from us from a marketing perspective, which is about connecting our mission in the culture, and sports being one of those key pillars. When you think of the key pillars of of culture, you think of sports, you think of music, you think of movies, culinary, gaming, and sports is just occupies such an incredible part of our culture. Many of us saw it. We're recording in September, right? So we saw it last night with the kickoff of the NFL season in tune it right across the country. It still drives appointment viewership sports. But for us as a mission, how can we show up at sporting events? How can our brand show up at sporting events? But also, how can we utilize sports as opportunities for bigs and littles to get together and watch a sporting event together, to participate and play in sports together? And so by continuing to stay close to culture and integrated into culture, it's a way for us to directly intercept maybe individuals who haven't thought about being involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters or joining our mission. But maybe when they're tuning into that sporting event or they're attending an event, we're able to draw them in and get them to consider Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful, and I agree that there's other platforms, but sports is amazing. Especially, we seem to be as crazy about sports as a society as we ever have. We just came out of the Paris Olympics, one of the biggest social media campaigns in the history of the world. And I always tell people, a sports fan, the word fan is short for fanatic, right? We care about our players and our athletes. What does success look like to you, Adam?
Yeah, I think, for us, it's about ensuring every kid is graduating with a plan for their future and a mentor whose impact will last a lifetime. A mentor, a big and a little, might be matched for just a year, but that impact you have from that experience together for both the big and the little is going to carry on. And so we envision a world where we're changing the odds for millions of young people. And I think that's why 120 years after our founding, this mission continues to be more relevant and important than ever. And it speaks to this community that surrounds this village that we have to have to surround young people, that not just serves as mentors, but also is endorsing mentorship, is speaking to the values of it, and that mentorship just becomes something that is part of our everyday life that we all feel like we must do and give back to the next generation.
I have to ask this question too. What are the challenges today?
Challenges. I talked a little bit about volunteerism, significant challenge, one that we have to continue to focus on, recruiting men. And then just making sure that we're addressing the challenges that young people have. And so, as a mission of Big Brothers Big Sisters, I talked a lot about volunteerism, but we have two things that are not mutually exclusive. We need both volunteers, but like every other nonprofit, we also have to raise funds because we're fueling a mission, we're fueling 230 local Big Brothers Big Sisters across the country. We are putting a match support specialist, so it's a big and a little. But there's also that third very important component, which is a match support manager or specialist who stays connected and is constantly in contact with our bigs and littles to make sure that they're achieving and reaching the goals that they set for each other. And so those are the key challenges, but challenges that we're up for because it's about creating a better society.
Great answer. Here's your chance to shamelessly plug how people can donate or volunteer. Where do we find you?
Yeah, it's easy. BeBigNow.org. Visit BeBigNow.org. Find out how you can be a volunteer. Tell us if you're an alumni. Join us. If you want to invest in the mission, you can invest in the mission. But I think you'll be inspired by a lot of the stories that you come across of the incredible bigs and littles that have been powering this mission for decades.
Well, for those of us that do a little volunteering, I'm humbled because I know this is your life and this is your job now. And we wish you nothing but success. And we want to thank you for being on the podcast. You're a great guest and it's a great story. We also want to wish you luck with your son's football team.
Right. I appreciate it, Mark. This has been wonderful. It's been great to connect on this really awesome and wonderful platform. And I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about our passion and our mission.
Who does Tampa Bay have this weekend?
We got the Washington Commanders. So we got Jaden Daniels premier. So it'll be no games easy, as we know.
No games easy. Awesome. I always tell people, have a great day. And as always, today is another chance to be awesome.
That's right. Thank you so much, Mark.
Okay. Thank you.